Well, in May of this year, we'll see the return of the Zimbabwe Achievers Award. It's the 5th time the glitzy award ceremony will be taking place here in London. And the nominations are now open for categories including Best International Artist to Young Entrepreneur. And I'm delighted to say, joining me in the studio is Peter Soko and Colline, and I'm going to try and get this right, Muchechetere. Have I got that right? OK, I did struggle with that one. So welcome to you both. Just tell me a little bit about the Zimbabwe Achievement Awards.
The Zimbabwe Achievers Awards is a celebration of the Zimbabweans that we have living within the UK who have excelled beyond reasonable measure and have achieved beyond measure.
And how do you quantify what is beyond reasonable measure?
We've got the standard that, for example, if you're a business entrepreneur and you're performing fairly well, then you're standard. But if you're going to be a business entrepreneur who has, I suppose, your company being looked at as a beacon of success, and therefore you have achieved way beyond the average, and that to us is an achiever.
How close-knit, Colline, is the Zimbabwean community here in London?
It is very, very close, and it's not just in London only. The Zimbabwean community is in so many different places. So we've got very wide communities in, say, in the north, sometimes in Leeds. We've got some in around Northamptonshire, and in London it's pretty big, and it's evident by our event because we get a lot of Zimbabweans that actually come in, and not just Zimbabweans that are interested, but our name and the Zimbabwe Achievers Awards has actually become more of a brand that's recognized not just in the Zimbabwean community, but also, I would say, in the African community. So it's quite big.
And with regards to the actual awards themselves, they've been running for a few years. So what was the reason behind wanting to start this recognition? I
think at the time it was when we had so much bad publicity about Zimbabwe, politically, etc. And there was nothing to celebrate the joy that we had, the achievement we'd made. So we thought that the best thing to do is to come up with something that recognizes what we have done, what we've put on the table as well, and say, look, things are not so great in our country, but hang on, we've done A, B, C, D as Zimbabweans. Let's celebrate that. And that's how the
And give me an example of some of the celebrated achievements that you've recognized.
We've got the likes of Derek Chisora. He's a well-known champion. We've got a few days ago on BBC, we had a company called Renaissance company. They were taken as a beacon within the care watch industry of a company that is great, that works fantastic in terms of the standards that it achieves. We had the likes of Shingi from the Noisettes, who's well-known internationally. We had Tinashe, the Zimbabwean musician who's topped the charts of the US and the world over. All those are people that we celebrate. They've achieved way beyond measure.
So you've spoken about the different types of awards. I mean, you've mentioned music there and business. Yes. So there are a number of different categories. How many categories are there?
There are 18 this particular year. What we've done is we've tried to be dynamic as we move along. So we find probably a year ago there were 17, the year before that there were 15, just depending on how big the catchment area. This year we've added another one, the Literature Award, which wasn't there before, because we've got so many that are publishing books that are way beyond measure as well. So it's things like that we do recognize, and as a dynamic company we do try and put them in place.
And is this encouraging to young Zimbabweans living within the UK?
It is indeed. Actually, last year the awards were actually focusing on the Young Achievers Awards. So we actually gave some awards to 5-6 different young achievers that have done so well that perhaps they would not have been nominated in all the other categories, because some of them are like male entrepreneur or female entrepreneur, so they might not be old enough to have started their own business, but we recognize those people, and it's been so great because a lot of young people are actually now recognizing it. And just looking on social media, because that's one of the things that I do quite a lot in terms of our research, a lot of young people are actually entering. I see on Facebook and Instagram young people asking people to actually nominate them, and it's just great to see.
So social media is changing the way people, A, interact with the award, but B, also spread the message.
That's right, it is, yeah.
And back home in Zimbabwe, I mean, how much is social media used over there? I mean, there's obviously censorship.
It's quite prevalent now. It's quite widespread. I mean, it's a common thing now. It's not as rare as it was a few years ago. We're not that behind technologically. It might seem like we are, but we're not. You know, we've got internet everywhere across the country, for example. So.
But in terms of being able to have freedom of speech over here, you can pretty much say and do what you want without any repercussions. But over in Zimbabwe, is there still a fear of what you can and can't express?
By and large, if On the political side, we wouldn't be involved in that sort of side. But generally speaking, yeah, we can express ourselves quite freely. I think there are laws, like in any other country, where you have sort of boundaries that you have to work within. But as far as our organisation is concerned, no, we're quite free to express as freely as you want to.
Who's involved in the judging process? Is it just Zimbabweans, or are you trying to integrate Zimbabweans with the wider communities that, you know, because obviously the UK having so many different nationalities?
Yes.
Take it, I'll take it. We've got Zimbabweans only. We've tried to keep it 100% Zimbabwean organisation, so the entertainment, the committee that sets it up, the panellists, the nominees, the award winners is 100% Zimbabweans, because we can do it, we are achieving it. So we are saying, look, we can do it by ourselves, let's celebrate that. But you'd find a common cause that most of the panellists that we have in fact won awards or been nominated in the past. So they know exactly what we're looking at, and we've handpicked them deliberately because they're specialists in their different sort of categories and awards.
So how do you go about getting nominated for something like this?
Okay, so first of all, our website is live now. So from the start of January up to the 15th of February, we have the nominations that are open, and we use social media, word of mouth, and also doing different posters that will be distributed in all the different towns that we know that they've got quite a lot of Zimbabweans. So we use that to actually shout our word, to actually say the nominations are now open, people can actually vote. So we basically bring it to the public so that they can actually nominate the people that they know, because we can't know everybody that's doing everything. We also do our own research within ourselves, but we actually deeply rely on all the community and the public to actually help us by nominating.
What is the name of the website, and also when's the deadline?
Okay, the website is www.zimachievers.com, and the deadline is the 15th of February.
So people need to get a move on, really, don't they?
Nominations, yes.
Yes. Okay, Peter and Colline, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.